Why do so many startups fail? The easy answer is always, oh, they ran out of money. But what if that's just a symptom? What if the real reason is something deeper, something much more human? Let's get into it.
So let's just start with a big, kind of provocative question. What if cash, the one thing we assume drives everybody, is actually the weakest tool you have for building a team that wins? I mean, think about it. If money was everything, why would these brilliant, super highly paid engineers ever leave places like Google or NVIDIA? It just doesn't add up, and it points to a much more interesting truth.
The reality is, most startups don't just flame out because the bank account hits zero. No, they collapse from the inside, and it almost always starts right at the top. You get co-founders who, start out on the same page, but over time they just start pulling in slightly different directions. And that tiny little crack in alignment, it eventually splits the whole company wide open.
And that brings us to the core idea here, what we're going to call the coordination crisis. This is that classic situation where you can have a team packed with the most talented people in the world, and it doesn't guarantee a thing. In fact, if all that talent isn't moving in perfect sync, it can lead to a total spectacular failure.
This idea is captured perfectly by an analogy from the video game Dota. Now, in Dota, it's totally common to see a team of all-stars, absolute legends, get completely destroyed by a less skilled but highly coordinated team. Why? Because the superstars are all fighting each other for glory. It's a really powerful metaphor for what happens in business.
The difference is just it's night and day. On one side, you have superstars, all pulling in different directions. The result is chaos, failure. But on the other, you have a team with maybe just average talent, but they are moving in perfect sync, and they achieve victory. The lesson here is so crucial. The whole is only greater than the sum of its parts when those parts are actually working together. We can actually put a name to this dysfunction. It's called coordination cost. Just think of it as the total amount of friction inside a team, all the static on the line. And that friction, it can come from anywhere. Big egos, bad communication, even just a lack of skill. Every single person has a coordination cost. And for a team to actually succeed, that total cost has to stay below a certain line. Okay, so if coordination is the problem, then what's the solution? Well, this is where we have to totally rethink what a leader even is. It's not about being a boss, no. It's about something way more active, way more essential. It's about generating current. A leader's real job, their number one job, is to lower the team's coordination cost. There's this great story about Elon Musk. His role is described as being the massive unblocker. He supposedly just goes from team to team asking one simple question: what's stopping you from doing your work? His job is to find those roadblocks, whether it's a person, a process, or a lack of resources, and just get them out of the way. So a better way to think of a leader is as a generator of current. They create an energy, a kind of electricity, that makes a group of people who might not care about a task at all suddenly care about it deeply and all move together. It's kind of like a great Zumba instructor who can walk into a room of tired people and through sheer energy get them all dancing in sync. They generate that current.
So how do they do it? How do they generate this current? Well, there are really four main ways. There's pure excitement, that raw let's go energy. There are incentives, clear rewards for hitting goals. There's inspiration, connecting the day-to-day work to some bigger, meaningful mission. And yeah, sometimes there's fear, the pressure of a deadline or the consequences of falling short.
Out of all those methods, there are two tools that are by far the most powerful and the most sustainable for any leader. Those are stories and incentives. And when you use them together, you can create this incredibly powerful force for alignment and motivation.
Let's look at incentives first, because they're like a ladder. Right at the bottom, you've got cash. It's essential, you need it to live, but once that basic need is met, it quickly becomes the least powerful motivator. From there, people start climbing. They look for respect, then status, then a sense of purpose. And at the very top, the ultimate driver, mastery. A great leader's job is to know where someone is on this ladder and help them get to that next rung.
And the reason that's the top rung is because deep down we are all driven by this desire to get better. That feeling of being perfectly challenged, where a goal is just a little bit out of reach but you can see the path to get there, that is the most powerful motivator in the universe. It's an internal engine that no bonus check can ever hope to replicate. Now, beyond stories and incentives, there is one other tool. It's a secret superpower that the best leaders use to just slash coordination costs and get everyone aligned almost instantly. And it's something you probably don't expect. It's just clear writing. I mean, just look at the difference. Poor writing creates this zigzagging, confusing path to the goal.
People get lost, they wander off track, and your coordination costs go through the roof. But clear writing, it's a straight line. It's a direct path. It gets rid of all the ambiguity and just puts everyone on the exact same page, which tanks your coordination costs.
And the benefits are just huge. I mean, think about a vague email versus a detailed written project plan. That clear plan gives you direction and speed. It means you don't need to have 5 follow-up meetings. It makes it way easier to figure out who does what and who you need to hire. And maybe most importantly, the act of writing it all down forces you to think through the whole plan, which means you spot problems before they actually become problems.
So, when you combine all of these things, a leader who generates current using powerful stories and incentives, all made crystal clear through writing, what you're really doing is building a closed system. You're creating a shared reality, a little focused bubble where the team believes in the mission so strongly that they can do incredible things. And this whole system rests on 4 key pillars.
What's absolutely fascinating is how universal these pillars are. Just look at the parallels. In a company, your direction comes from the mission and the written plans. In a religion, it's the holy book. Companies celebrate hitting milestones. Religions have festivals. Companies have performance reviews and can fire people. Religions have commandments and can excommunicate people. And both of them need external validation to feel real, whether it comes from clients and investors or from parents in the community.
So why does all this matter? What's the real end goal? It's simple, and maybe a little selfish. A coordinated team, one that is laser-focused on a single goal, will always crush a team that's bogged down by infighting and politics. While they're arguing about who gets credit, you're out there executing.
And that brings us to one last, really powerful thought from the source material for all this. It says that if a team can truly perfectly coordinate, it can make several years of progress in just one. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what is your team actually capable of if you finally solve the coordination crisis?